In the beginning was the Word. Now what do we do when that word becomes the end of everything? Can gold be exchanged for other people's souls in a fight for honor? But frankly, I feel remorse. I should have kept my mouth shut. It's not the best time of my life. But when you think about it, times are tough for everyone. Everyone's trying to get by, holding on to their jobs as tightly as they can, just like I'm holding on to my cab. They say I don't turn down a single booking. What's even more interesting is that nowadays people are taking fewer cabs. It's not uncommon to hear stories of cab drivers getting into strange situations. I don't think that's true, or maybe I just don't get all the jokes. I usually get orders from mothers with children heading to the clinic, or people with big bags coming from malls or markets. Sometimes late at night, I drop off a group of weary accountants. Apparently, people nowadays prefer to pass out where they've been drinking. But one particular order really struck me. It happened on Monday. I got a request from the airport. Usually they're favorable, but the destination was a remote cottage community outside the city. What could I do? I picked up a passenger, a man in his 40s, and he got into the cab with me. He had a serious look, with a slight patina of stubble. It was clear that this was not laziness, but the result of a thorough haircut. He had neatly trimmed red hair, a dark knee-length coat, and a scarf that gave him a touch of aristocracy. Despite this, he had an open gaze and a heartfelt smile that immediately made me warm. So content and talkative. Hi, he greeted, settling into the back seat. Good evening. Let's listen to some music, shall we? Are you familiar with our country music? I haven't heard it in months. Can you tell me about it? I understand. I agreed, not quite sure why I was expected to understand. That's great. By the way, my name is Eugene. He introduced himself. Hi, Harry. I replied, realizing he was in the mood to talk. And indeed, he didn't stop talking throughout the entire trip. It's incredibly nice to hear your native language. You can't even imagine. My passenger sighed wistfully. It's only when you leave your hometown and home country that you truly realize their significance. And what's more, he emphasized, this is not the first time. This is my 6th trip, and I still can't get used to it. But never mind, I brought gifts for my wife. That's the way life is. I worked tirelessly for so many years to buy a house, and I succeeded. I devoted day and night to work, but then my business failed, and I had to find new sources of income. As for my wife, she is a real beauty, or rather, even more than she is. We have been living together for 2 years now, and all she dreams of is a beautiful wedding, with a dress, doves, and horses. And that's exactly what I want to give her. We'll definitely get married this time. I've sacrificed so much for her, how I've missed him. Do you have any idea what it's like to be without your partner for months on end? Have you ever experienced it? Anyway, I'm going to see her and hug her. I'm not letting her go for a whole week. I'd watched this man and felt a twinge of envy. He had so many dreams. He was so bright, so sincere. Half of his life had been spent in idleness and hard work, in creating the perfect conditions for his future wife. And now, despite economic hardship and problems at work, he was willing to spend a fortune to make her happy. That's devotion, love, lust for life, and maybe something indescribable. But over the past few days, this Eugene has made a lasting impression on me. His charisma, energy, and ability to find positive aspects in everything were simply amazing. We reached the cottage community, and Eugene showed me where to turn. Turn right here and stop at the second cottage, he instructed. Thank you for responding so quickly to my request. I usually wait a long time for a cab because few people dare to come here, and those who do come often charge an exorbitant price. It's a shame, really. I can't understand how they're not ashamed. But why worry about it? It's their loss, not mine. It's not just the cost of the fare, it's the cost of coming back empty-handed. It's a loss any way you look at it. I actually just picked up a young man from there yesterday, so people are still coming and going. No need to worry. Maybe I'll even pick someone up on the way back today. I said carelessly, not giving it much thought. But life has a strange way of making things come true. I soon found myself in a situation where I had to pick up a passenger from that very house, all because of me. You know what they say, a small action can have big consequences. In this case, that small action was a careless comment I made at an inopportune moment. At that moment, Eugene had one foot in the road, but hesitated and decided to get back in the car and close the door. His cheerful mood began to fade, replaced by confusion. "Did you really take someone from this house?" he asked me, feigning indifference. "I'm not quite sure what's going on yet," I replied, trying to downplay the situation. "Young guys aren't supposed to be there. Only my wife stays home while I work. Do you happen to remember what this guy looked like?" I tried to hide the slight embarrassment. From the first words I'd said, I realized I'd been stupid and said something I shouldn't have, but it was too late to take it back. If I claimed that I had made a mistake or made something up, I would only be making a fool of myself. I also realized at that moment that I didn't know his wife, or that guy, or even Eugene himself, except for our brief conversation a few minutes ago. I described the passenger as best I could, his height, hair color, style, and manner of speaking. Eugene asked a few clarifying questions, and it was obvious he understood. I even saw a hint of tears in his eyes. He whispered almost inaudibly, he was an ex. Well, okay then. He gave me a strained smile, thanked me, and got out of the car. He walked briskly toward the house at first, but then somehow slowed down and finally stopped. He stood there for a moment, pondering, and then continued on his way. It was evident that he was overwhelmed with emotion, and he was far from being the cheerful man who sought to surprise his beloved. Even as I drove away from the cottage village, I couldn't get Eugene out of my mind. I was ashamed of my words, although I could not explain why. After all, it wasn't my fault. Besides, no one had asked me to keep this situation a secret. I pulled up to the entrance of the city and decided to take a break at a gas station. I grabbed a coffee, sat on my bike, and began to enjoy my sandwich. As I reflected on the unfairness of life, I couldn't help but sympathize with my passenger who had been mistreated. Just as I finished eating, I received another request for the same address, as well as a generous tip for the previous ride. Without hesitation, I accepted the order and started the engine. I rushed to my destination, curious to see what was waiting for me at the cottage. However, I didn't notice a young woman who looked to be in her early 20s. She was standing next to two suitcases, looking disheveled and hurried. Strands of hair peeked out from under the hood of her cloak, and she was clutching one glove, having lost the other in her haste. I loaded her suitcases into the trunk and only then realized she was in tears. Without greeting me, she got into the car and impatiently repeated the address, clearly angry about something. As I looked up at the house, I noticed Eugene, whom I had recently met. He was standing at the window with his hands on the sill, looking tired and gaunt. With a slow nod, he silently expressed his gratitude, keeping his eyes on me. It was as if he were thanking me again. I set off, and throughout the ride the girl was silent, but emitted heavy sighs. It became obvious that her happy life had come to an end. She had found herself a mature man who tried to fulfill her every wish. At some point, she apparently got bored and abandoned her work and English classes and instead invited her ex to visit. This was probably not the first time they had spent days together at her fiance's house. As soon as we reached the city center, I dropped the girl off and quickly drove away. In an instant, my words shattered a man's love, dashed his hopes, and disrupted his plans. But in retrospect, I opened his eyes, becoming in a way a guardian angel. And yet I kept thinking that perhaps I was just an insidious tempter in disguise.